Calgary, 20th June 2013. Dark clouds started rolling in the sky. According to meteorological experts, an unusual air pressure system in the atmosphere was holding the storm from moving. And as a result, Calgary received a record-breaking rainfall. 45 millimeters in one day. Saturated ground and nearness to Bow River increased the risk of flood. And it rained and rained.
Police have blocked off major arteries into the downtown, both from the east and the west part. So essentially the 4th Avenue flyover has been shut down. Even as far back as the Deerfoot Memorial, so basically you cannot access the downtown. It is already underwater. Chinatown, Eau Claire, the East Village, it is basically submerged, and they do expect that to crest in the next few hours. It's hard to say exactly how much of that water will spill to downtown, but we do know that employers are telling their employees to stay home. There's absolutely no point coming downtown. C-train service has been shut off downtown, so you cannot access the downtown.
As some of the GWLRA office buildings were located in the downtown core, it was a bit of concern.
We have 6 commercial properties downtown, one of them being the Stock Exchange Tower, which is closest to the river. We weren't sure what to expect. We received a call from CEMA, the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, stating that we needed to get staff down to the buildings for 10 o'clock that evening because they were shutting downtown. And we were just hoping and praying, along with everyone else, that there was going to be minimal amount of damage.
That is Calgary, with 100,000 people being evacuated so far in Canada's 5th largest city. The mayor cut short a business trip to the east to make sure he was back at home to oversee things, and he's been up all through the night. There he is, Mayor Nahi Nenshi. Thank you, sir, for being with us for a couple of minutes this morning. How bad is it in Calgary this morning?
Well, in terms of the water, it's bad. I've never seen anything like this before.
And the water kept swelling. Water is now all the way to Lindsay Park and onto the 17th Avenue.
When the floodwaters, as everyone knows, rose along the Elbow River, right along 26th Avenue, where we have 2 properties, the Mansions and the Rouleau properties, which are multifamily assets occupied by about 300 residents. On Thursday afternoon, when the City of Calgary announced their mandatory evacuation, we went down to the property and started working with the on-site people to have people get out of their homes, essentially, and try to find other location or move in with family or relatives.
I remember sitting in the afternoon having lunch, and I got a call over the radio that there's going to be a natural disaster coming our way. At first, I couldn't believe it. I honestly thought like nothing to it.
I live in that area, so I went home and got my dog, took him to the kennel, and packed a bag and headed back to our buildings, the Rouleau Mansions, that are of course located right on the Elbow River there. And the whole environment was pretty surreal. Lots of people in the streets, trying to evacuate, getting their cars out of parkades.
The enactment of the business continuity plan was, I guess that took place on Thursday evening and was really following the recommendations of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, who had declared the state of emergency. Using the BCP plan to contact people was the next order of business.
We had mobilized one of our trades and some of our suppliers to assist with installing some sandbags, secured some sand, which at the time was really the only supply of sand that we could get in the city.
We had to go and knock door to door because of elderlies that we have in the building as our residents. We needed to make sure that nobody was left behind.
And from a personal perspective, it's quite moving when you have to go to a property and ask 300 people to move out of their residence.
Tervita, Great West Life came to the site during the time when we were evacuating our residents. And when we were on the last few residents, we started to begin putting sandbags up at all our entrances, going down to the parkade, going into the driveways, around the side of the building closest to the river. Pumps were in place. Everybody worked non-stop around the clock trying to get these sandbags in.
We were able to mobilize within a matter of hours a small and expert crew. We'd built a 1-meter berm to prevent the floodwaters from the rising river entering the building.
At about 12:45 a.m., the river started to crest over on 1st and 26th Avenue. That was the point where I realized that this is very serious. The moment I do remember is standing there, watching the river crest and coming down in the construction site across the street, and then it started coming down through our parkade. During this time, the city has already shut the power off.
Unfortunately, after about 4 a.m., that building, the flood prevention measures were unsuccessful due to the rising water.
In the morning, 2:30, 2:45, I remember getting a knock at my door, and it was a Calgary police officer. He told me that everybody needed to evacuate. We started going down towards 25th Avenue, and it was just already became a river. And there was debris, firefighters everywhere, sirens, helicopters, spotlights, police, every emergency response imaginable.
Only on the Sunday morning that we could get to the property and realize that we had extensive damage, and getting people out of their suites was the right thing to do. We started to look at the extent of the damage, and it was fairly significant. We had water that filled up the parkades in both properties. About 25 cars were severely damaged, actually were written off. And the main floor of both the Rouleau and Mansion properties were completely damaged by the floodwaters. And we really had to start a process of cleaning up the site. We brought in a large number of workers, and actually had a number of volunteers that came back to the property and assisted us.
Oh, definitely the things that impressed me the most were just the community spirit. The whole mission area, the whole city of Calgary came together. I think there's 3,000 volunteers in mission cleaning up everything.
You know, all the property managers were in their buildings, full security complement. All of the maintenance and management staff, you know, the senior operations managers, everybody was all hands on deck. Very appreciative of the effort that everyone put into not only dealing with the floods, but dealing with the aftermath and the cleanup and everything that went into it. It was a great effort, and you know, I and the management group are extremely thankful.
I can't state how much I appreciate and how proud I am of the people that I work with.
It's kind of like that old Johnny Cash song, 6 Feet High and Rising. the waters kept rising, and there was nothing you could do about it in the end. But the effort that was made to try and fight it was an incredible effort.
How high is the